Well, hi there. My name is Romania Black, and we're starting a new danmei series for danmei Mondays on my channel. If you are joining me for the first time, my name is Romania Black. I'm a teacher, I'm a speech coach, and mainly I am a nerd that grew up watching anime and reading manga. And now I have a channel where I react to anime and manga, and also I've expanded into donghua, into manhwa, and as you can see here, into danmei, which I'm so excited about. I'm a big BL fan, I'm a big shipper. I like to get loud. I like to express myself. Hope you're up for that. So I recently finished a series, Word of Honor, on my channel. There is a playlist on my channel if you want to go watch those reactions and discussions. I like to react to things and then have a big discussion about them and break down the episode. And because I'm a teacher, talk about characters and elements of fiction and all that fun stuff. So that's what we're here for. There will be a link to the reaction down in the description below because of YouTube. Y'all know how that goes, but there's a reaction down in the link below. You can go check that out. And then you can come back here and talk about the discussion with me, hear what I have to say, and chime in with your thoughts, as long as they are, please, spoiler free, because I am a blind reactor. I like to go week to week, not knowing what's coming up next. So spoiler tag those spoilers for me if you don't want me to see those, and everything else you want me to see, we can talk about it. I love to read the comments. I love to respond to those comments if my mods say that I can. So yay. Anyway, I also have two dogs that are down the floor right now. I'm going to try to, my one dog, Huckleberry, he has a toy that he likes me to throw. So I'm going to try to throw it at minimum until he calms down and goes and sits down for a while. But I had a poll over on my Patreon, which I have a Patreon as well. If you would like to support me over there and see these videos a week earlier than everybody else on YouTube, I post a week early over on Patreon. So there's that. But we had this poll. We had 8 choices of danmei to choose from. I will show you the poll here. It was stacked, and there honestly was a 4-vote difference. Actually, a 5-vote difference between first and second place. So Thousand Autumns honestly has been a series that I've really wanted to get into because it was second place on the last poll that Word of Honor had won. So ever since it got second place, I was like, ooh, I want to see it. So I'm glad that we're finally watching it now. Now, I am aware of a couple things, and I want to tell you all this. I am aware that one, this is a donghua that has 16 episodes. I am not going to be watching the OP until episode 7. So the first 6 episodes, I'm going to skip ahead to like the 2-minute and 25-second mark. That's just what I'm doing. I will get to see the OP after episode 6. And then the ED, I think I've got it saved when I can watch that. So it's fine. I'm going to be watching the donghua first, and then we're going to be going back and reading through the novel and listening to the audio drama as well. So I'm super excited about that. So we're going to get the full Thousand Autumns experience, which is so exciting. I cannot wait. So that's going to be a fun time. I am excited because I've been wanting to dive into this series and get the full experience. So with that being said, I'm going to throw this a couple more times, but thank you for joining me. I'm glad you're here. I hope you enjoy the reaction. I hope you stick around and come back for the discussion and we talk about it. I'm going into this series blind. I know nothing about it. That's awesome. I'm excited about that. I'm also sweating because this sweater is a lot hotter than I anticipated. So I've got coffee. I've got dogs at my feet. I'm going to throw this one more time and tell Huckleberry to go lay down. Boop. And then we're going to be good. So I'm going to ignore him. If he barks, forgive me because that tends to happen. So we are going to get started and watch episode 1 of Thousand Autumns, starting at the 2-minute, 25-second mark. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and I'll see you all on the other side. So we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to break down. We got to pull up our sleeves and get into this. This is Whiteboard Coon. If you are joining my channel for the first time, Whiteboard Coon is my helper in explaining all things and allows me to feel very teachery when we talk about episodes. So what we're going to do now is we are going to break down the episodes and just go through. There's so much information that we need to go through, so that's what Whiteboard Coon is going to help us do. We've got many colors to help out with this as well as my shirt. It will combine with the shirt. Anyway, we have a lot. This episode's called The Brewing Storm. There is so much to go through. I'm like, I feel like anytime you start a danmei, they're just like, hey, hi, here you go. You just get thrown into this pot of information because you are supposed to understand the genre and know that this is just part of the course. There are peaks, there are disciples, there are hotties, there are swords with important names, there are many tropes. Now, to give you some reference, the only danmei that I have watched and or read are the 3 MXTX stories, so Heaven Official's Blessing, Modao Zushi, Scum Villain Self-Saving System. This is giving me a lot of Scum Villain Self-Saving System vibes, Modao Zushi vibes in terms of the peaks. But it's also giving me some Word of Honor vibes, which is the other danmei that I've seen. So I'm curious. Now, obviously, MXTX wrote the 3 original danmei that I've watched. Priest has wrote Faraway Wanderers, aka Word of Honor. I don't know who the author of Thousand Autumns are, if it's Priest or if it's someone else, but I'm excited because I have read and watched danmei with specific tropes in mind, and so I'm excited to see like what the dynamics of this main couple being old Mr. Daddy Wuxi and Xin-Chao, which is making me think of Shin Ching-Cho, which is from Scum Villain. That's gonna be in my head most of the time. So yeah, we're gonna get into this. So Mount Zhandu is where a lot of this stuff is going down. We need to get some locations wrote down. We have sex to worry about. We have big old titties and white hair strips to worry about. So we have a lot of things to cover. So we have Mount Zhandu, which is our first location that we go to in this, with the ever-present bird flying over it. When you get in this, I'm just going to go through the episode just bit by bit. So we have the introduction of our first main person that is introduced in here, who is Baimu Kunye. So let's put down people that we know. Baimu Kunye. And if I pronounce the name wrong, that's part of the course with me. So I'll get it right eventually. I have come here at the last order of my master, Hu Lugu. So he is under, for lack of a better word, Hu Lugu. Sounds like Hulu. Hulugu. So he's here at the last order of my master. I thought for a second, and then Woe for All is the name of the sword, for an appointment made 20 years ago. I thought that our sweet Shincho had one leg. The way that he's animated in this opening scene with the way his robes flapped, I thought he had one leg, and I was like, oh wow, a one-legged protagonist. How unique. So, why not? You just gotta hop around. Why not? So I want to put down here our dear boy Shincho. I feel that sword is rather important because it gets its own like dubbing in here. So he has a sword, which is titled Woe for All. Suffering for all, woe for all. That is his sword. All right. I'm like, is this going to be like Modao Zushi, or is this going to be like Word of Honor? Hope to have a battle with you, Chief. And so we have the chief disciple of the mount, which is Xin-Chao. I do agree with Yan Wuxi that it is a bit odd that they didn't search for him, and that if he's the chief disciple, that they just kind of ignore whatever's going on. So for Mount Zhandu, we'll put a little arrow up there. He is the chief disciple. Not the leader of the sect, which I think is interesting. He's just the chief disciple. I kind of like it. I like the idea that we kind of are following someone who is not like the leader of a sect, you know, or someone that is at the top of the authority ladder, which is what I'm used to with danmei. I'm used to like the main character being like the leader of something, and he's just like the third or fourth in command. So that's interesting. Nice. And the light shining on his face when we start, I'm like, he just seems like a sweet little pure bean, right? So we have Kunye, who is the Duke of the left of Bimu. Interesting to see the word Duke in a danmei. All right. So he is the Duke of the left of Bimu. So it's like a family thing. I like his design. I like his design a lot. Although most of our antagonistic characters in danmei have the curved swords, so there's that. So Xin-Chao fights him. They have a battle. I really like the fight choreography throughout. I like the swords giving off like the waves of different colored air and everything. It's great. He leads them away. They clash swords, and as they go up the rock face and everything, they're getting followed. It's just really good fight choreography, and then they come back down. So I liked the bridge part too. That part was great. I just, everything about Shincho gives off the impression of he's just a good boy, like the goodest boy who is just a pure fighter. And him just shattering through the bridge to face him. I love it. I love it a lot. We don't get a lot about Shincho in this, which is interesting. We just know that he's a good fighter and that he's protecting the mountain. And then Beimu, Kunye, gets all of his thugs to come out, and they all fight him at once. And he manages to, like, get most of them out of the way. But then something is wrong with his chi. He says, is it because? Something's acting up with his chi, so we need to make note of that. There is something is up with his chi. And I'm going to be tossing my dog toy to the side with my foot throughout most of this. So something's up with his chi that causes some injury. So again, getting some scum villain vibes. There's something up with his chi that's preventing him from fully being able to fight. And that causes him to waver, and that leads him to get injured, which in turn causes Kunye to be able to have the upper hand in the moment to, like, attack him with his fist. So, you know, like you do. But yeah, interesting. So I'm curious what that whole deal with his whole issue is going to be. If Daddy Wuxi is going to make that be, in his mind, like, part of the ailments that he received from the battle, or if he's going to know, is he going to find out that the whole chi thing was something that was going on before the battle, or what are we going to get with that? So interesting. I'm like looking for this toy that my dog has left behind. Oh yeah. So anyway, okay. So then we cut to 20 years ago. We get an exposition ex machina, which I'm actually, you know, I'm all about that because we need some backstory before we go any further into this. So we get 20 years ago, and this whole battle is leading up to 20 years, whatever. So 20 years ago in the world of martial arts, this was giving me a lot of Word of Honor vibes. I'm not going to lie. 20 years ago seems to be a popular time frame to go into the past with. So they say it was full of all these chaotic competitions, and a rare talent emerged named Tao Hongjin. So his name was Tao Hongjin. So 20 years ago, there was this rare talent, and his name was Tao Hongjin. All right. Somebody that excelled at the battles. And we see him. He kind of looks like Wuxi, which is interesting. He kind of looks like Daddy Wuxi a little bit from behind. I don't know. Maybe there's something to that. I don't know if they're one and the same, or if they're brothers, or if Daddy Wuxi is an alias. Who knows? But he wrote, we'll find out as we go, he wrote these martial arts books. So martial arts books. Okay. Rare talent, Hongjin. He just looks like Daddy Wuxi, really. He wrote a book of all his martial arts, and it is the solarity. There we go. So he wrote these books. There are 5 of them, and they're called the solarity. I'm guessing that means like sun and all that. We'll put a little sun here. There we go. So it is the solarity, or the 5 books on martial arts. 4 volumes were kept by Mount Zhandu. Okay, so we're going to put up here that 4 volumes were kept at Mount Zhandu, where Shincho is from. So that would make sense why he maybe knows some of the moves, and maybe why Wuxi knew about it. So then we have the sects that had them. There was the Tianti. And they have like a special little like staff with all the rings hanging off of it. Then the Royal Palace of Beifong. And then Beimu has one of them. Okay. Beimu got one. And then Beifong got one. The person that's the leader of Beifong kind of has the same look as ceremony robes from Apothecary Diaries is what's reminding me of. But the last volume is nowhere to be found. Okay, so why? Wait a minute. What was our other thing other than the one? It said it was by Mount Zondu. Oh, they're each kept by 4. Oh, okay, never mind. So what it is that each of them kept 4 volumes. So they had a volume, they had a volume, they had a volume at Mount Zondu. Zhandu had a volume. Okay. So Beimu, so Kunye is like our sect has one of the volumes of the celerity. And then Beifong and Tianti, we've not met yet. They each have a volume. And then Shincho's sect had a volume. But the 5th one was kept a mystery. Nowhere to be found. Imagine that. So Hulugu, the top master of Beimu, was ambitious and wanted to collect all 5. So basically he sent Kunye to do his dirty work for him. Collect all 5 volumes and unite the martial arts world. He led the Kung Fu masters of Beimu across all the sweeps and the gangs in the south, and he was defeated by Chi Fengge. Okay, so we need to put that on here, that Hulugu was defeated, this might be this marker's last stand, defeated by Chi Fengge. Okay, good to know. Defeated by him, the chief of Mount Zhandu on Peak Yinghui. Okay, so the chief, we're going to put him over here as well. Chief Chi Fengge is the one that defeated him. Defeated Beimu. Hulugu. Okay, cool. So that's why there's tension and beef between them. The masters of Beimu were dispersed, and Hulugu had to promise to stay away from central China for 20 years. And he left this golden flower fingering and all the holy objects, which could order all the masters of Beimu. Oh, okay, we're being quite Sauron. We're being quite Sauron-esque. So we had this golden flower ring. Okay, that I'm assuming he left with Kunye, maybe. Okay, so he was ordered to go away for 20 years, and that's kind of why Kunye was like, well, that's why I'm here, because it was an order from my master to come and try to steal back the book. Okay, that all makes sense now. Meanwhile, we have this very majestically dressed man in his purple robes with his white rogue hair streak and his big old chesticles out on display. I mean, maybe it's because I'm in my mid-30s and I'm an older woman of culture, but I was like, oh, hi, Daddy Wuxi. You're my favorite so far. But he's so interesting. So we're on Peak Bamboo of Mount Zhandu, and we get our first thing with Yan Wuxi. He's intriguing. He gives off bad boy vibes and bad boy energy, but some of it seems like it's a front. And then at other times, I'm like, what is your game? What are we doing? Like the whole thing with trying to like orchestrate this entire scenario to see what Shincho would do. We're going to go back with that. But yeah, he's like, congratulations on your completion of meditation. So we're going to switch back over to this purple marker because that seems appropriate. So we have our new player in the field that has been on meditation. We don't know how long that meditation was. That's interesting. We'll find out, I'm sure. And he's like, yeah. So Yan Wuxi, leader of the Huan Yu sect. So yeah, Han Yushi. Or Yan Wuxi. Get this right. Yan Wuxi, Daddy Wuxi, hello, is the leader of, and even Huan has flower in its name, the Huanya sect. So that has nothing really to do with Tao Hongjin, but that has nothing to do with, we don't know why Huanya sect is, they seem like they've been out of this backstory up until now. There have been great changes. Okay, in the central world of martial arts in the past 10 years. So he's been meditating for 10 years. Interesting. So he theoretically was around 20 years ago when all this stuff was going down. We just don't know that for sure. He looks great. I love his design. He's like, no more nonsense. This man is no nonsense. He's like, yes. He says, since Che Fengge died 5 years ago. Okay, so we find out that the chief died 5 years ago, which is probably why Kunye and the others are all getting riled up with possibly Hugh Lugu, because the guy that defeated him is dead now. So who's going to stop him, right? That might be it. He's like, the top 10 Kung Fu masters have changed. The top 3 masters are... Okay, we got lots of names thrown out here. So we have a top 10. I'm going to write it over here. We have a top 10 Kung Fu masters. And we have the top 3. So we have in third place, Yi Bishin. Oh man, that's a name. That's a name I've not heard in a while. Who is... the mount is in Chungyang Temple in Mount Qingchang. Oh man, y'all. Okay. Chunyang Temple in Mount Qingchang. You know it's going to have to be repeated as we go. Then we have that. And then Abbot Zhu Yin. Okay. So Abbot, that seems very much like a monk or a priest. Zhu Yin. Zhu Yin, who is of the kingdom of Beifong. So we know that Beifong has one of the volumes of the martial arts thing, so that would make sense. And Ruyan Kehui. So Ruyan, I'm going to write all of this down. And then Kehui. Who are they from? Master of Lingchuan Palace in the kingdom of Dongkong. So we have him of Lingchuan Palace. Oh my gosh. In the kingdom of Dongkong. Interesting. Again, Xin Chao not mentioned. So many new figures have also emerged in recent years, and the most intriguing one is, okay, there we go. Oh, is Xin Chao the personally taught disciple of Qi Fengge? Okay, so he was the personal disciple. Okay. Of Qi Fengge. Well, that explains why he was protecting the volume, why he was fighting Kunye, why people would care. If he was the personal disciple of the guy that defeated Kulugu, then that's relevant. So, okay. And he's the most up and coming. Interesting. Xin Chao. And then we have is among the top 10 masters. So Xin Chao is part of it. So Xin Chao is in the top 10. Okay. Even as a chief disciple, you know. So then we have also, I'm going to put him down here. I really like Yu Xing. So they're in the same, or they're in different sects. Shengyan. I like Shengyan a lot. He's cool. He's very precocious. Has kind of like a little elf vibe to him. The personally taught disciple of Yan Wuxi. So he says his master's reputation, but he lives in reclusion and rarely battles with others since the succession to Zhangdu Peak Manor. Okay, so we established that our sweet Xin Chao is a recluse, but he's powerful because he's in the top 10. And he was a disciple of Qi Fengge. Okay, interesting. That chest is on full display. Let me tell you. I'm not complaining. And he says Qi Fengge was really the #1 Kung Fu master at that time. Okay, but he already has died. So in Hulugu, the only person comparable has died in Beimu a long time ago. Okay, the other ones are just nobodies. Okay, so Lugu, he's dead. He's dead, and Kunye is trying to like gain some notoriety, maybe to follow in his footsteps. I kind of like that Yan Wuxi is just like, whatever, everybody else is nobodies. It gives me very Huachong vibes. Gives me a little bit of that. And so it seems like he really just cared about Fengge and about Hulugu. This place is connected to the heavens and the hell, and it's an ideal place to practice martial arts. He's like, I'll elevate you to the 5th level of Phoenix Descending. 5th level of Phoenix Descending. Just throw that out there. That's fine. What do I know? So the goal for him, for you, is 5th level Phoenix Descending. I feel like these are just terms. I feel like they don't have any major role in the story. It's just like, you're going to go get to this stage. Hope you're ready. And he's like, yes, master. This place is really connected to the heaven and the hell. And that's when we see the blood in the water, right? I'll get this for my dog. That's when we see the blood in the water. And it's like, okay, what are we getting into here? So that's when they stumble across and find Xin Chao. And so are they disciples of Mount Zhandu? Something happened on the mountain today. And then we stumble across Xin Chao's body. Okay, so I want to see what they said back on here about his pulse rate and everything. We have this mini battle, and I like that Wuxi is like, come on, show him your moves. And he's like, I've been in meditation. What have you been doing this whole time? I like it. Also, Yan Wuxi is not to be messed with. He seems like he's pretty capable, even if he's been in meditation. Totally fine. But yeah, so these guys fight. He's like, you still need my aid without making progress. And they all vamoosh. And they're like, should we save that guy? And like, he's rubbish. Why save him? So yeah, we established very quickly in this that Yan Wuxi is really like no nonsense. And I don't exactly describe him as having, he's kind of like not a, let's put this moral compass of good. I don't know if I would describe him as lawful good. I don't know if I'd describe him as good. I think he might be in the neutral category, if not the evil category. He's like, he's just rubbish. Why save him? And he's like, well, then what was the use? He's like, this is practice. I mean, if this is supposed to be our main pair, I'm very intrigued, because usually when you encounter the main character of all the stories, I don't know, with the exception of Heaven Official's Blessing, the main character of the danmei that I've looked at have not only been people in positions of high up power, which Xin Chao, he's the top 10, but he's a disciple still. But they've been very like amicable, but yet kind of like cocky, or kind of like have some attitude and sass. Xin Chao seems like the most precious angel being imaginable, which is so fascinating compared to Daddy Wuxi, who is like bad boy having a midlife crisis. He's giving me bad boy with a midlife crisis. He has everything. He has the 80s rock band look and the Aerosmith hair. He's just going through a midlife crisis and has found a younger boyfriend that he's going to pursue, right? But he recognizes the sword. He recognizes woe for all, which is interesting. And then he says the sword woe for all. Is this person Xin Chao? And then he checks his pulse and he says he's still alive. But then while he's doing that, he notices something. A string of chi, the celerity. So I'm curious. Why? He says the string of chi. He notes the string of chi and this with the celerity. So something about Xin Chao is connected to the martial arts book. Now, what Yan Wuxi knows about the martial arts books, who knows? Who knows? He seems fascinated by it. And then he decides, he's like, well, we'll give him, I like it. I know it's a translation and it's not the show's fault, but calling it the big revival pill is actually hilarious. Ha! Actually hilarious. And he's like, why are we going to save him? And he's like, we're going to take him back to our sect and then visit Mount Zhandu. So what they do on Mount Zhandu, I don't know. What happened on Mount Zhandu? We don't know. We have the Yuju Pavilion and we go there. And so Yu is sent, our boy Shengyan is sent to go over and check it out. And they said, I've searched all over, but I still can't find the chief disciple. Okay, so what shall we do now? So we have the one guy who is Tan. We're going to put him on here. We have Tan Yanchun, who is the senior to Xin Chao. We've got that. He's like, what are we going to do? And then we have the other guy, Ui, who is the junior. UI is the junior to Shinshou. I like UI's robes with the little yin and yangs and all that, and his like turtleneck that he has, his cow neck. Like, he looks pretty sweet. I like his design. The top urgency is to discuss with the elders and make a decision. So I wonder if, based on the fact that Yan Wuxi points out to Shinshou later, he's like, hey, by the way, nobody's looking for you. I wonder if our sweetest bean, because he was so kind and considerate, if the sect didn't respect him or they were jealous of him or whatever. And so now that he went missing, they were like, hey, it's kind of like Yzma and Emperor's New Groove. If they're like, well, he ain't getting any deader. And they're just like, back to work. And they all like move up the ranks and they just forget about him. You know, easy come, easy go in the world of martial arts. I don't know. I'm curious about that. But yeah, they just all vamooshed inside the building, and Shang Yan's like, well, I'm going to watch what happens next. So then we cut back to Daddy Wu's Huangye Villa. He's like, it's so quick to appoint UI as the chief disciple. Okay. That's the ticket. They literally pulled an Yzma from Emperor's New Groove. He ain't getting any deader, and decided to just immediately get the promotion. Which, like, you couldn't search for more than a few hours for him? Like, man, what's the deal? Seriously. So they have the map of states, and he's like, he just couldn't wait. He's like, well, I also noticed that they're whispering secretly to each other after the departure of all the elders. So he's like, I'm not interested in the private. I like that at least Daddy Wuxi is like, I have no interest in their petty squabbles. I'm not here for their drama. They clearly are just being a bunch of bitches and leaving our poor Shinshou to the wolves. Whatever. Not interested in the drama. I appreciate that. Somebody is making a surge in the world of martial arts. Yep, this surge is like a swirl that will involve all the gangs and all the sects in. So yeah, everything is getting all ramped up. For some reason, in the middle of the swirl is the chief disciple who is lying there. Very interesting. So yeah, Shinshou is somehow caught up in the midst of all this, and we don't exactly know to what extent or why. But he's in a coma with his broken veins and weak pulses. I think there was some translation stuff that was kind of like, but what can we do? They're worried about him being like, is him waking up after this coma, is he going to be affected? Like, is his brain going to be affected? Is he spiritually going to be affected? What's the deal? And Wuxi says, as the disciple and chief disciple of Mount Zhandu, he is the leader of the righteous gangs with great honors. But once defeated, I wonder how he may feel when he wakes up and recognizes it. Yeah, so not even an average person can accept such a tremendous change, let alone the God's favored one like Shinshou. Isn't it very interesting if I can slowly turn the chief disciple of Mount Zhandu from a righteous, benevolent person into an unscrupulous disciple of an evil gang? So yeah, so basically, like, Daddy Wuxi was like, I mean, they pretty much just abandoned him. So what if we take him in and get him to join our evil gang, and we just use him and his talent for acts of evil instead of acts of good. I love it. I very much get like Despicable Me and Megamind vibes from Daddy Wuxi, where he's like, I'm an evil mastermind, but really, are you an evil mastermind, sir? Are you really? I don't think you are. I think that it's a big old front. And like, well, what if he's a moron when he wakes up? That was great. He's like, then we'll just bury him alive. So he finally wakes up, and he can't see at first. So his vision has been affected, and he has a lot of memory issues, right? So that's when Wuxi comes back in, and he's like, well, you're a disciple of my sect, and I'm your master, Yan Wuxi. I mean, if we're going to get into some kinks, if we're going to get into some submissive dominant kinks, we'll see. And he's like, oh yes, the moment he like sits on, can we just talk for a quick second? I know that Donghua is under censorship. We all know this. We know this. We're not going to get until we get into the novel. But when he sits down on that bed, sits mighty close to Shin Chao and like takes his hand off his chest and like puts it beside him. I'm like, oh, hi, how we do? How you doing? And checks everything. I'm like, oh, ho, ho, ho. I also kind of like the vibe of the fact that Shin Chao can't see. He can't see our Daddy Wuxi from the front. Can't see his face. Although from the back, he kind of looks like the image of the Tao Hongjin guy. I don't know. But anyway, I think that's interesting that he can't see him. There's like a little added, romantic part to that. He's like, stay here till he wakes up. So then we cut to 3 months later. And he's like, how are your eyes? He's like, well, I can see some things and I hear really well, but I can't make out all the shapes. He's just the sweetest little bean. I love Shin Chao. He's so cute. And all the ladies are like, oh, he's so handsome. And I like that Yu Shengyan's like, scraps for me, huh? He's like, when are you going to be able to fully recover? He's like, well, the master and you must be trying your best and racking your mind for my injury. I will hurt you if I ask it. And so then he's like, well, I don't know if there's any more of a considerate person on this planet. So they lead him over to this one spot. And I liked it because he can hear the board game being played. He makes the move instead of Daddy Wuxi. I was like, ooh. Daddy Wuxi did not seem to be too upset about that move. He seemed to be like, okay, all right, be that way. Uh-huh. And he's like, give me your hand. Yeah, there's like this little level of tension that's built between them already that is so interesting. And I was getting a lot of Beauty and the Beast vibes in this episode where Shin Chao is kind of like Belle, who's this pure being that's just trying to do good. And the Beast, in that movie is jaded, and the Beast is like, nobody loves me and I'm this horrible monster and everything. But Belle's like, well, as long as you're not an asshole, there's promise. There's potential as long as you're not an asshole. And I get that vibe from Shin Chao and Daddy Wuxi, that Daddy Wuxi just needs to recognize that someone might give him the time of day and might give him a chance and believe in him. And it's Shin Chao. So I'm so excited to see where this goes. He's like, there's a weak string of chi, and one day you might be able to recover them. So he sends him on to Peak Bamboo and says, you're going to go kill the whole family of Yan Jiwa, the admonition officer. So they go to this peak in Mount Jiandu, which, for the record, getting a little close to home. Like, you're testing the waters, Wuxi. But he's sent on this mission to kill the family of Yan Jiwen. He's like, I need you to kill this family for me. That's your mission. We are an evil gang, as you know. We are doing all sorts of horrible things. He's like, he's the spy of the Heihuan sect. They've been arrogant for too long. For many times you're in meditation. Okay. He's like, when I am here, the Huan Yu sect fears no one. Okay. And then, of course, he sees that Shin Chao looks a little bit concerned. He's like, oh, well, I'm not concerned about much. Just, I love the way it's set up. So we go to Ye Cheng, the kingdom of Yanye. I'm not going to write that down because we're only there for a short amount of time. But they're with the Heihuan sect. Lots of Huans that have been against Yan Wuxi's sect. As far as we know. Okay. So they go into town and Shin Chao asks, he's like, I need to know the history of the Heihuan sect and what's our conflicts with Yan Jiwen. And he's like, well, it's a long story, but basically, so the Huan Yu sect, Heihuan sect, and Fa Jing sect all originate from the Ryu sect, interesting, of Feng Lin Zhao. That's a lot. So we have over here, we have Huan Yu, Heihuan, and then they are all, there's one that's the Fengling, and they're all with the Ryu sect of Feng Lin Zhao. There is so much going on in the exposition in this episode. We're setting everything up just so you know. Fa Jing. There we go. We're going to correct that. Fa Jing. All right, so these 3 different sects are part of a bigger sect. Okay, on this map. And so we get the 3 people. Okay. Huan Yu sect is Yan Wuxi. It is disintegrated into 3 sects. And then we have Hei Huan is Yan Zhuju. And so Hei Huan is Yan Zhuju. Okay. And Shang Jingjing, she has a lover. Shang Jingjing. Okay. They conspired and attempted to usurp the throne for many times during the Master's 10 years. He's like, killing the family of them is a warning to them to refrain from reckless actions. So we find out that this Jiwan people, they don't really have anything to do with this. They're just connected somehow to Hei Huan. And so it's like, if we kill this family of this couple that's been trying to like take over the sect, it'll send a message of like, it's basically like putting a horse's head into a bed, right? And Xin Chao's like, well, I don't really see how this, he's like, there's an obligation, but why don't you go directly to Yan Zhiju? The dependents aren't involved. Xin Chao's like, I really don't understand the point of this exercise, because why don't we just go directly to the source? Wouldn't that be better? Yeah, a root will grow into a big tree one day. If they survive, they may come for revenge. And Xin Chao's like, well, if we don't attack them to begin with, they won't come for revenge. Yeah. He's like, we just need to know and obey. And he's like, well, I wonder what kind of person Yan is. He says he's suspicious and vigilant. Okay. So they get like, let's go find some medicine first. So all of this was set up basically to see, this entire event was orchestrated by Yan Wuxi to see if, and Yan Jiwen and Yan Wuxi, are they all connected? Are they family? And this was all an inside job? It sounds like it. So he orchestrates this entire thing to test Xin Chao and his innocence and see just how truly paragon our boy is, which the answer is very paragon. So they go to the doctor's office and he runs into Yan Jiwen and his son, who's just shitting all over the place. Sorry. Who needs diarrhea medicine, and immediately Xin Chao is super kind. He gives medicine to Yan Jiwen, who is the censor. He gives them the medicine, and that medicine has the note on it that tips him off that they're in danger. Like he all does it very discreetly, like super discreet, as in you won't. And the way that the father looked at the medicine and was like, okay, let's go. So anyway, they managed to go out and attack our facial haired guards, but it's all an act. It's all done very easily because it's all supposed to, test Xin Chao. And Xin Chao's like, wow, this is kind of weird. I did notice when he slipped on the blood, it was weird to me because all Shang Yang was doing was just like karate chopping him. So I'm like, why would there be all this blood? And Xin Chao figures all that out as well. And then come to find out, they're all, hidden behind the stone. So when he gets pushed back, he says, suffering of all, woe for all. Oh, suffering of all, woe for all. I like that. It's like, if you're going to make everyone suffer, then there's going to be woe for you. Okay. He's like, I'm not a disciple of this sect, am I? And I like that the Shang Yan's like, how did he figure it out? And he's like, I've lost my memories, but I vaguely remember a sword. Yeah, where is his sword, by the way? I recalled somebody had said, suffering of all, woe for all. And he's like, but you know nothing about it as my peer, so how can you claim me as a disciple of the evil gang? So he's like, why did you hesitate? I like that Daddy Wushi's up there being like, go on. Go on. What's going on? I wonder where his sword is. I want to know where his sword is. Are you impressed by his charisma? I mean, and then he says, well, here's the family. Now what should we do with them? And your order. And he says, you've inferred accurately, but you've lost your power and your eyesight. How can you protect these powerless people from me? And then he goes after like to attack them, and he stands in front of them and he says, is he really a moron? But he stops. Okay, so there is a ring on his finger, on Yang Wushi's finger. Is that ring connected to the golden flower ring that was, you know, taken, that was given out by Hulugu? Or is it just part of his jewelry because he does wear a lot of jewelry? I don't know. I love that shot of him about to attack and Shin Chao just stands in between him. I'm like, He's like, why don't you hide or block? Are you confident you can defeat me? And he's like, no. He looks so innocent. He looks like a beautiful little angel, Shin Chao does. He just looks so sweet and delicate. And he's like, no, I probably can't defeat you. And he says, do you think you can save them this way? And he says, I'll try my best. I'll try my best. Oh. He says, well, even if you can you always save them in the future in the state that you're currently in? Although powering and timing, if I can save them or not, I can choose to save them voluntarily. Oh. And Daddy Wu's like, fine, be stoic. People of your righteous gangs really do live a hard life. He says it's also hard for you to spend such time and energy in acting it out for me. And he's like, he's onto our plan? He caught onto our act? What? How could he foresee through my clever ruse? I love this. I love that it's all an act. He's like, I'm still blind, but I have my hearing. I love it. He's like, what's the deal? Why go through all of this? Life is most important and certainly must be guaranteed. He's like, well, you still care for others even if you yourself are in danger. That is the style of a great master. He says it very condescendingly. And he's like, well, can you tell me who I am? And he actually does. He says, you're not the disciple of the evil gang. He actually does tell him the truth. He says, you are chief disciple of Mount Zhandu. He didn't say you were. He just said you are. Okay. Oh, our sweet bean looking up towards the mountains. He said, you were badly injured and you fell off a cliff that day and you were rescued by me. I don't ask for your return. Just join Huan Yu's sect. Be my disciple. And when you learn my evil skills, you can kill all those who abandon and hurt you. Isn't that a good choice? I mean, I get what Wuxi is trying to do. He's being like, look, I can teach you the ways. I can show you how to defend yourself. Just pledge your loyalty to me. I can help you. I can make things better. And Shin Chao is like, yeah, that's cool. I know, you know that my former, mentor is dead and all. But he's like, I've lost my memory, but I need to go back to Mount Zhandu and make clear all things. He's like, I don't recommend you go back now. In the last 3 months, they have replaced you. There's no news about Mount Zhandu searching for you. He's like, well, thank you for not killing me and saving me, but I'm going to take my chances. I'm like this blind man going on this quest. Oh, I do love the way they animate Daddy Wu. Daddy Wu, she looks great. I also like Shin Chao's robes that have like the translucent quality to like the upper robe. It's really pretty. And he throws this rock towards him, but instead it hits a bamboo staff. And he throws him the bamboo staff to help him along the way. To use as a weapon and also like a walking stick. Okay. I like that he actually lets him go. I feel like Wuxi has been testing him in a lot of ways to see how he is of integrity, how he is of character and personality, but also to make sure. I feel like part of it was in the last 3 months, he's like, I want to make sure that you yourself are okay to be on your own because you can't see, you don't have all your memories back, and if you're going to go up against people that are going to try to fight you, I need to know that you are okay and you can somewhat fight because not all of his martial arts abilities are returned to him. So I feel like he wanted to make sure he was at least good to go before sending him on his way and then also testing him to see if, he could poke at him and maybe get some evil deeds out of him, which didn't work. But now he's on his way, and it's like, okay. Meanwhile, we have Duan Wengyang, who is a senior to Kunye, show up. So we need to put him on here. Duan Wengyang. And he reports to Kunye that Xin Chao has lost his memory. So everybody knows that at this point. Word's gonna get around. The clues of the holy object are lost. So apparently Xin Chao knows some clues to the holy object, whatever that is. We don't know about the holy object. Is it one of the books? We don't know. He says, it doesn't matter. I've got one of the secret books anyway. And even Liu Gang is sided with us. We will soon unite the world of martial arts. And I found someone who knows the whereabouts of the holy object. But he is too greedy. We need to give him special benefits. But he is easier to deal with than Xin Chao. So right now, they're going after somebody that is greedy. There's a greedy benefactor that they're going to try to appease right now. Who that is, we don't know. We don't know. Yeah. Okay. And so then we have Chunyan Temple. What was with Chunyan Temple? Something was Chunyan Temple. What were we having? Where was it? Okay. Chunyan Temple. That was with Yi Bishan. So is Yi Bishan the greedy one? Is that him? Maybe. Maybe Bishan is the one that's greedy that they're going to go after next instead of Xin Chao? Oh, okay, probably. Yeah, and there's that statue of him, so it probably is him. Okay. And he is with the Tianti sect, because they were shown with that same symbol as well. What a wild time! What a wild time of exposition for this first episode. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Okay. I like Xin Chao. I like the idea of this very innocent. He reminds me a little bit of Shi Lian from Heaven Official's Blessing, but only in the sense that he's very kind. I think he's very different from Shi Lian, but he's very kind, very considerate, very noble, innocent, pure. And Yan Wuxi seems like a corruptible daddy that wants to he has this protection over Xin Chao already, but he also kind of wants to corrupt him and be like, you're not as noble as you say you are and all this. And I'm like, oh, well, you might not be as evil as you say you are. So I'm curious. I'm intrigued. This is a lot. I'm going to write all of this down into book form so that I have a way to go through it with you all each episode, because I feel like I'm going to need it. But I am intrigued. I like our two leads so far. Their personalities are very different. They don't seem to have a lot in common. So I'm very curious to see what they end up having in common and going from there. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this reaction and discussion. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. Please no spoilers or spoiler tag if you have them. I'm curious to see where we go from here. But with that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more of Thousand Autumns. Bye.